So now that I have fallen down this rabbit hole, I just jumped on to Twitters. And I got an alt Twitter where I pretend to be a MAGA guy. And I saw a live. And I am not kidding you. This dude, all these dudes these farmer dudes in there, these farm owner dudes, are saying, well, we thought the blacks would come back and do the jobs because they don't have jobs. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but black people have jobs, and you thought you were getting your slaves back is basically what you were saying. That's what you thought. It's still going right now, and I'm not going to post a link to it because I don't want to give these people a voice. But they think they're in a safe space on Twitter. They're not.
We don't know why this is happening or why they're doing it, and literally we're being told there's nothing we can do. At the end of May, beginning of June, our mortgage was sold to a different loan servicer. It's the fourth loan servicer that our mortgage has been sold to since we've had this farm. First three companies were amazing. We've had one mortgage increase because our escrow increased, just due to home insurance rates and property taxes going up, and that was fine. It was still affordable. It was not a big deal. In June, we paid our normal mortgage payment that we have been paying for the last year since the rate increase. And then we got a letter from a company that was not, because we were not made aware that our loan was sold. In the past, every time it's been sold, we've been made aware. The one time we had the rate increase, we were given 2 months notice, hey, you're going to have a rate increase because your escrow increased. Never once have we missed a payment for a mortgage at this house or at any house. We've never missed one. We've never been late. We have been just like superb homeowner mortgage customers. Okay. So anyways, we get a letter from this company saying, hey, you paid your old loan servicer, we're your new loan servicer. And you paid what you had been paying them, but with us, you're going to be paying $1,000 more. So you need to pay an additional $1,000 this month. And we're like, what in the world? So we called them and we're like, why? We need to know why our mortgage is increasing by $1,000. And they said, property taxes and home insurance. And if you want it to go down, we recommend switching your home insurance and then call back and ask for an escrow analysis and it'll get fixed. So immediately I changed home insurance. I call back, ask for the escrow analysis. They say, perfect, don't even make your payment today, don't worry about late fees, don't worry about credit reporting, like any late fees you see, we're going to waive because you're a new customer and you get a grace period, blah, blah, blah. She goes, don't pay it today, pay it tomorrow after the analysis is ran and your payment goes down. She goes, that way you're not losing any money. I'm like, okay, great, perfect, thank you. Call back the next day, say, hey, it doesn't look like you guys ran that analysis, and the lady that we get says, yeah, we don't know why anybody would have told you that, we can't run an analysis until June of 2026. And so we said, why would you have us switch our home insurance? What's the point of switching the home insurance to save money if you guys are still going to make us pay into escrow more than we're paying out of escrow? Not only that, but mind you, our property taxes this year, $900 in the spring, $900 in the fall, so $150 a month out of escrow, or into escrow that are saved to pay those two payments. And our home insurance is $3,300 for the year, so that is $275 a month, roughly. That means right now we're going to be paying in $1,000, if we're doing what they say, we're paying in $1,000 a month to escrow, so $12,000 a year, and our escrow is only paying out, I'm going to round up and say $5,200 a year. So we said, that's an additional $6,800, where's that going? We get told, we don't know, we can't tell you. It's going into your escrow, it's being used to pay for things, they can't tell us what it's being used to pay for. So we're like, okay, well, we were given no notice, and this is what we've said to them, you guys gave us no notice, we don't just have an additional $1,000 a month lying around, we have other bills, we have other things to pay for, we have 5 kids and a farm, and, we need the escrow analysis ran, we need this fixed. We've been told, tough luck, just kind of giving the runaround. So then, we are online trying to figure this out on their website, and we see that it says, we haven't paid a single mortgage payment since they took over. So we call back and say, hey, we have been paying our mortgage payment. What is going on? They said, oh, we can see the payments that you've made. We're putting them in unapplied funds. So they're reporting, even though they've also told us they're not reporting to the credit bureau, we found out that yes, they are. And they're reporting that we're not paying our mortgage, even though we are. And they're just holding on to our money and not putting it towards the mortgage. And so we flat out said, make a note of it. We want this applied to our mortgage. It needs to be applied to our mortgage. And now when we call, because we're still not getting answers, they're still not applying it to our mortgage. When we call now and try to get someone else, because that's literally all that we can do. I've reached out to the person we got our mortgage from originally, like our local office here. It's not the company that has it now. But I figured he could help. He's local, and he's not replied. I did get to talk to somebody else at a different mortgage company, and she's willing to help us, but only if we refinance through her company, which makes sense. She's not going to want to help us without getting paid. But she did give me a lot of good advice. That being said, this month alone, we've paid them $3,000. And then, like I said, we also paid them in June, and we paid them in July. And now they're telling us that we have until Friday to pay them an additional $988. Or they're asking us if we want a short sale or foreclose on our home. A home that we've never had a late payment on. We've never had a missing payment on. It makes absolutely no sense to us. We can't figure out why they won't tell us why they're doing this to us. It just feels like they're trying to force us out of our home for no reason. It makes no sense. If anybody has advice on what to do, or anything helpful or any experiences. I don't remember if I said at the beginning of this video, but the company is called Mr. Cooper. Sorry about the flies. We live on a farm and have livestock, and I'm sitting outside. But it's to the point we've literally given them all of our extra money. Like, my husband is like, what am I going to do for gas to get to work? He's like, I need to get to work to pay the bills, but I can't put gas in the truck or buy groceries. And that's the thing, he makes decent money. He makes money where we should be able to live comfortably, and they've raised everything so much that we can't afford groceries, that we can't afford normal things like our son's 3rd birthday, and this was without even getting the gift. Like, we can't even afford a cake or a birthday meal, like, to cook at home. Groceries to cook a birthday meal at home. I've called every bill that we have to get it lowered, and we don't have, there's no extra room in our finances, to figure this out. And even everybody, like the new mortgage girl that I talked to, she said, okay, we can fix this, but you have no option. You have to pay the $988. She goes, because I don't want to tell you what could happen if you don't, if they report that to your credit and make it worse, and then there's no way that I can help you either because your credit's so bad. And even our home insurance office, like our local home insurance office, they're trying to help and give us advice, even though obviously they're in home insurance and not mortgage. Like, but we're just hitting a brick wall, and we're being told there's nothing we can do but take a loss on our home. And when I look into the finances, like, they're also saying we haven't paid into escrow this year at all, when we've, like, part of our mortgage payment all year has been, $400, and some of that has been an escrow payment, and now that money's just gone and nobody can tell us where it is. And I don't know what to do. And we don't qualify for any sort of assistance because, like I said, my husband makes good money. And so it looks like we're doing well. But we're, like, with what they're doing to us, we're not. It's not okay. And it's literally been, like, it's crazy. I have always heard people say everybody's 2 weeks away from being at the low, like, being at rock bottom. And they're not wrong. Like, we went from being fine to having this happen, and there's literally no way out. Like, I don't know anybody even that I could just call and be like, hey, can I borrow $1,000? And then, not only that, but even if we pay this $1,000 by Friday, on Tuesday, they want us to pay our mortgage plus an additional $1,000 again. And then we don't know if they're gonna charge us more fees again and tell us, hey, pay this on top of what you've paid or else. And we don't even know when we pay these fees if they're gonna apply it to our mortgage. We don't know where our money is. It's all gone. Everything is gone.
So I want to talk about this article really quick because it's all starting to make so much sense right now. This author and journalist was having lunch with friends. There was a white guy and he's married to a black lady, and they were talking politics. And he says that farmers weren't worried about Trump deporting migrants because, wait for it, they thought because unemployment was so high for black people, that these black people would run back to the fields and do the jobs that the migrants were doing when they got deported. So she asked, like, where'd you get that information from? White farmer TikTok or MAGA Facebook memes? Like, where'd you get this information from? And her and the wife basically started giving him information, letting him know unemployment is only 6.8% for African Americans, and 93% of black people are currently working. Got so caught up in what they were hearing at Fox News and other places, thinking black jobs, immigrants are taking black jobs, that they just assumed they'd get rid of the immigrants and black people would take the immigrants' jobs. Sir, our ancestors did not march, die, and fight for civil rights so we could go back to the fields? Like, what? But shout out to the Latino immigrant population that have mastered that labor with skill and stamina. This country doesn't even appreciate it enough. Oh, and by the way, when they do try to hire Americans, black or white, to do those jobs, most of them don't even last half a day. They just ghost them without even picking up their paychecks. True story. So y'all, tell me, do you really believe that they thought black people were planning to replace immigrants in that labor force if they got deported? Because I need to know who was smoking that logic. What do you think?
You may not want to believe this, but it's time that you accept it. If you have any family or friends who are MAGA, then they are evil. They are either evil, or the best thing that could possibly be said for them is that they are so breathtakingly stupid that they don't fully understand what it is they're supporting. And that level of stupidity at this point in time is a willful stupidity. It's a choice. It's not a stupidity for which there is any legitimate excuse. It's a choice. And to me, that makes the difference between evil and this degree of stupidity, intentional, voluntary, a chosen stupidity. It makes the difference between those two things meaningless in my view. Whether you consciously, affirmatively choose to support this evil, or whether you choose to be so ignorant and oblivious as to what it is that you are supporting, there's no difference to me between those things. Both are evil. Both are empowering evil. And a lot of people who have MAGA family and friends have been struggling with this for a long time. They love these people. They have been a part of their lives. Maybe they are brothers or sisters, or parents, grandparents, friends, spouses. And they just don't want to admit that these people are evil. And I understand that. You want to defend them. You want to convince yourselves that it's not evil. They've just been brainwashed. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're supporting. Maybe for a period of time, that argument may have carried some weight. There may have been some truth to that. But at this point, I'm sorry. You cannot excuse this. They are choosing evil. There is simply no way around that. You need to accept that. If you have someone in your life who is still MAGA, that person is evil. Now, do with that what you will. I would never presume to tell you what to do in your own personal relationships. But if you are trying to convince yourself still that they are not evil, you're just lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself almost as much as some of these consciously, intentionally ignorant people who are MAGA are lying to themselves about what it is that they're supporting. They are lying to themselves into supporting evil. You are lying to yourself in order to defend someone who is either evil or supporting evil. That's just the way it is.
So I know I was talking about, the Latino vote before. The Viva vote for Donald Trump. Okay, well, let's get on to the white folks. The white farmers. So, word is out now that the white farmers voted for Donald Trump because they thought they were going to get Black Americans in the fields. Because they also thought Black folks did not have jobs. So when we put this all together, Somehow, the white farmers were convinced that black folks don't have jobs. We don't work. we don't work. And so they voted for Donald Trump because they thought, okay, he gonna send them in the fields. So Donald Trump and them, with the whole Project 2025, said, okay, so we got to make this happen. So we got to cut these DEI stuff, all this DEI stuff, to put black Americans out of work. When in reality, they put a bunch of white folk out of work just to get black folks out of work. And so all these cuts that are happening are to try and harm black Americans so much till they think that we're going to go into the fields. Now, when you think about that, that makes you double back and see why they want the Latinos out. Because the Latinos, right, to them, they are reproducing entirely too fast, okay? And so they're like, we got to get them out of here because black Americans don't reproduce as fast as the Latinos. And so if we could get them out, then the black Americans can take their place in the field. This is for real. And so now you double back to the black jobs. They're taking your job. Yes, you got to double back to what he said. They're taking black jobs, y'all. Like, they have all this down. Like, they have all this whole circle. So now let's go back to the farmers, if you're still with me, okay? Because the white farmers, that's what they believed that was going to happen. So if y'all got all that straight, this is the message to the white farmers. The last thing you want is for black Americans to be in your fields. Don't let the devil fool you. As a matter of fact, you might want to let the devil fool you to see what's going to happen. Well, I'm trying to tell you, the last thing you ever gonna want is black Americans in your fields. Nah, I'm gonna let you fill in the blank on that one. And this goes to show that they will go to any lengths. Remember I said that, first of all, we had the Latinos, some Latinos, not all of them, just them Cuban ones, talk about you're next, right? To black Americans. So they thought we was immigrants, okay? And so now we have the white farmers who are still living in the 1700s, thinking back to glory days, quote unquote. They thought with their vote, we were going to the fields. So you got one group thinking they gonna kick us out of here, and you got another group of people thinking that we going to the fields. Now this right here is a real mental problem because people are literally stuck. I'm telling y'all, people are stuck in the 1700s when they think about black Americans, okay? I'm telling you, their thought process, they sit around probably campgrounds and picnics and stuff and talk about how can we make this happen? That was their heyday. I'm telling you, when that freaking plantation house burned down in Louisiana, I think, right? That was their heyday. Now, I'm trying to tell you, that was their heyday. When that plantation house down in Louisiana got torched, okay? I'm telling you, that broke them. But I just want to, I want to teach them a little bit more history if I have your attention, right? If I have your attention, right? This is some history that a lot of people don't know, okay? But y'all didn't know black Americans had white servants? Y'all ain't know that? I mean, it wasn't widespread or anything like that, but we had white servants. Yeah, and they wanted to be our servants because they needed work. They were coming over from Europe. Yeah, and they were docile too. Yeah, they were docile. And black Americans, the aristocrats. The wealthy ones, because they were wealthy ones, okay? They had white servants. So I don't know if y'all ever see them pictures. Let me find a picture. I couldn't find a picture. I wasn't going to go back and try to find a picture. But if you can watch videos, you'll be able to find a picture of possibly some black people in the horse-drawn carriages, and there may be someone white as the horseman or the coach. I'm not sure what you call them, coachman or whatever. Yeah, he worked for them. Yes, indeed. It was a big thing. It was a big, big thing, when everybody began to see in the early 1900s, what? Black Americans, they use the other word. Black Americans have white servants. Yeah, that's a bit of history they don't like to put on TV. And the reason for it is because they were like, okay, they had white people here that they could hire, and they also had black people here that they could hire. But they felt that the white people from Europe were so docile, and they were less expensive. Now, they weren't the only ones who thought that. The wealthy white people thought that too. The wealthy white people were like, yeah, we like the docile immigrant white people. They're a lot cheaper. They take less money. Yeah, so there's a bit of history for you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it was like that. Oh yeah, because they knew they would have to pay black Americans a lot more. Lot more. So they always went for the immigrant. And see, when the black Americans hired the white immigrants, they were like really like, yes, we will do it. Yes, we will do it. Because they want to stay in America. Here's the difference though. Black Americans didn't mistreat them. They didn't mistreat them at all. But anyway, that's just a little side note. But yeah, to the white farmers again, this is the last thing you want. The last thing you want is for black Americans to be out in your fields. The last thing you want. Trust and believe. And next time, you know what? Stop basing your vote on how to harm black Americans, because you're going to end up running into that wall that's going to tumble. Okay? That's what's going to end up happening. Stop doing that. All of you do it. Like, all of you. You had the conservative Asian Americans coming through with the whole Ivy League school. We don't want black Americans there. Then you had the I will vote for Donald Trump Cubans, okay, who were thinking, okay, you're next, okay? Okay, we're not immigrants, so we're not next. And now we have the white farmer who thought that they were going to get the black Americans in the fields. And then this is all off of Project 2025. So now look where you got America. Look where you got the United States of America. And a lot of people say, why black Americans think everything revolves around them? No, y'all think everything revolves around us because y'all make everything revolve around us. Y'all stuff coming out.
They blame immigrants so that you don't blame billionaires, because immigrants are an easy target. They're visible, they have accents, they don't own media companies, they don't fund political campaigns, and they can't sue you for defamation. Billionaires, on the other hand, are very inconvenient to blame. They're harder to picture, they're harder to reach, and they've spent a lot of money making sure you're mad at someone else. Immigrants didn't lobby to keep wages low. Immigrants don't buy politicians. Immigrants don't hoard housing. They didn't crush unions, ship your job overseas. But someone did. Diversity isn't a weakness. It's a sign of intelligence. That's why every city people romanticize, New York, Los Angeles, London, Paris, is built by immigrants. A lot of the fear around diversity is actually insecurity. Because when people say they're afraid of losing their culture, I have a question. What culture? Not Irish culture, not Italian culture, not German, Polish, Jewish, Greek, or Slavic culture. Those are real cultures. With food, with music, language, rituals, stories. White culture, as we talk about it now, isn't really a culture. It's a category. A political identity built around not being something else. And when your identity is built by exclusion, diversity feels like erasure. Not because it is, but because there's nothing solid underneath it. So instead of asking, how do we share space, the question becomes, how do we keep control? And we've all seen this person. For example, Kristi Noem, the woman overseeing ICE and deportations, photographed at a Mexican restaurant wearing a sombrero, enjoying Mexican culture, while running an agency that raids immigrant communities. And when people say, oh, well, they're only against illegal immigration, Okay. Legal just means approved by a system that decides who gets to belong. And when a system is designed to keep some people waiting forever, just do it legally isn't neutral. It's exclusion with paperwork. Human migration is natural. It's older than countries, older than borders, older than paperwork. America loves immigrant culture. Mexican food, black music. We love queer fashion. We love slang, style, rhythm, spice, flavor, but not the people. Give us the culture, not the citizenship. Not the safety, not the rights. That's not appreciation. That's extraction. So no, immigrants are not the problem. They're the distraction. Because if people ever stopped blaming immigrants, they might start blaming the people who are actually hoarding wealth, the power, and the future. And that would be very inconvenient.
You have to be astronomically fucking stupid to live in the same country as a trillionaire and still think that you can't afford to live because of immigrants. Like, you have to be dumb as fuck.
You're not gonna believe this. I saw that someone on Twitter were saying, the white farmers on Twitter were saying that when they had all these mass deportations, that they just automatically thought that they were going to send the black people to work their farms. The black farmers who had already lost their farms, and just, other black people, because they needed the help and they wanted the government to send them, I guess, criminals so they can work on their farms, so they can keep their farms. Because, me keeping my farm and not caring about you and giving you low wages, that's just the American dream, right? Stop it. Y'all need to stop this. This is just totally ridiculous. Little Johnny, little Susie, all the ones that you're paying all this money because you've gotten all this government money for free, you need to go get them out of college, which is what they used to do in the olden days. Get them out of college, get them out of their little jobs, and get them working that farm on the weekend. There you go. See, I fixed it for you.
Hello, good people. I hope that you're doing great. So, this kind of torture farmers are undergoing at the moment is being categorized as political decision made. Those decisions are entirely based on kind of expectations which they thought they would receive. It's hard for me to believe that these rural farmers thought that they were going to get their slaves back if they got rid of the Mexicans. They thought the black would come back to the field, which is not gonna happen. Known for her upon an unapologetic voice and fearless critics, Sister Solija used the phrase slavery back in effect to call out systematic oppressions and racial injustice in America. Her words were not just a slogan, they were a sharp reminder that inequality and exploitation had not disappeared, but instead evolved into new forms. Through music, activism, and uncomfortable truth about race, power, and freedom, her message continues to resonate as a call to vigilance, resistance, and the ongoing struggle for justice. At Saka, with white supremacists organization, it's impossible to get an accurate headcount, but point being erasing black history in international. These new forms of slavery will be worse than the former slavery. Africans start thinking now. They say slavery helped black people. Did it? The delusion of MAGA history. Trump supporters at MAGA rallies are defending slaves, claiming that it's helping black folks. This shocking interview by Adam Moka exposes how whitewashed history fuels ignorance, racism, and extremism in America. Thank you guys for watching. See you in my next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's hit 1,000 subscribers. Bye.